So I grew up, I was quite lonely and I felt always alone. I grew up with a full household, mom, dad, siblings. And even though we were a lot in the house, I still somewhat felt out of place, so I was always the one, like having to be the young adult in the house. My opinion didn't always matter at all. I felt as if, the child that wasn't really heard, it affected me mentally. I would watch so much movies, with magic, dealing with magic and stuff, kind of escape from the life that was hurting me within. After I turned 18, I decided to leave the house. I told my parents, so they were aware of that. Before, I wasn't allowed to, go out with my friends. So as soon as I turned 18 and I left the house, I said, okay, now I'm going to start. It was all in the wrong way. I made all the wrong decisions, went to all the wrong places, met the wrong people, and then it just went down from there. So I was getting involved with, friends and started going out to the clubs, started drinking, got in the habit of smoking as well, got in the habit of sleeping around with men. You just go to the club, meet someone, and then the next day you're there with them, and you don't even know this person's name, So that's kind of the life that I had started to live. I really started to take up the drinking a lot. What made it worse for me, for the drinking, I was living right next door to a liquor store. Sometimes I wouldn't even have the money to buy the alcohol, but because I was already living next door, I would go in and ask them, can you just put it on my name? I'll come and pay for it tomorrow. So they're already getting into debt with the shop just because, to try and buy some alcohol. The moment that I hit rock bottom was when I actually fell pregnant, because I wasn't actually aware, for a few months that I was pregnant. I wasn't 100% sure of who her dad was. I'd met a guy at work, randomly. So I wasn't 100% sure that it was him, it was another guy. So I ended up having to go through that pregnancy for a few months, not knowing, kind of contemplating in my mind, is it this guy, is it that guy? That's when it really hit me, because I was like, wow, I'm 22 years old, I'm pregnant, I'm about to be a mom. And I wasn't 100% sure even who her father was. So while I was pregnant with my daughter, my sister invited me to the church. So I wasn't taking the church too seriously. I would step in and I would step out. So I wasn't 100% in. So after a while, I started attending the church a bit more regular. I started to notice that I had a deep hatred for my daughter's dad. Sometimes I'll sit in the church and I'd ask myself, why do I hate him so much? Because this is a person that I didn't really know in order to have a reason to even hate him. Pastors would talk about, forgiveness. And I thought, I need to, I need to forgive him, yes. And so I started praying for him. I would pray about forgiveness. And then eventually I started to feel that hurt, that pain, the grudges, all of that. I started to feel that weight lifted off my shoulders. I started to understand that in order for me to be happy within myself, I needed to have the Spirit of God. Once I heard about the fast of Daniel, I decided to take part. In the beginning, I wasn't so serious about it. So when the lockdown came, initially I felt very sad. For me, it was difficult because I wasn't used to that. But in that moment, I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to keep fighting because I've already started. I started to pray more. I started to seek God more. I started to cut off certain things, emotions and feelings. I had to cut all those things off. There was really no one else now that I could rely on. I couldn't go to the church and say, I need help to the assistant, or I need help to the pastor. I had to now start to rely on God alone. So during the 6 p.m. service of the God and the altar, I decided to go to the bathroom. I locked myself there. I prepared myself. I spoke to God and I said, this is what I want. I want you. I want your spirit. I want your presence. I've heard about this. And now I want it for myself because I've lived a life just feeling neglected, not feeling loved. And I know that it's your spirit that can give me this. As I was preparing myself throughout the service, Bishop was preaching and I was preparing myself in my mind, saying to myself, it has to be now. It has to be now, because I've cut off the things that I knew were not good for my life. And so during that service, I received the Holy Spirit. I was just locked in my bathroom, on the floor, on my knees, and just crying, but laughing at the same time. Spiritually, I felt like a relief. And all the baggage that, I was carrying, all the hurt, the pain, the anger, the frustration, it just literally felt like everything was flat now. Now I can start a whole new life. I can start all over again. So today I see the changes that God has made inside of me. I don't see myself with that hatred that I had so much. The hatred was completely removed from my life. Now I speak to my daughter's dad like we are friends. We are such good friends. He calls me whenever he wants to speak with her. We have a communication. He calls me sometimes when he needs advice himself. I don't have even a single bottle of alcohol in my fridge anymore. The desire for winning souls came to me immediately. The moment that I received the Holy Spirit, the very next day, it was a Monday. The next day, I went downstairs and, I was already looking, who should I call? Who should I message? Like, what shall I do? Even though we're in the lockdown, but what can I do now? Because I need to do something. Today, I evangelize most Saturdays. At the church at Wood Green. Sometimes if I'm not there, take my newspapers, my leaflets, post them out to my neighbors, meet people, give them the word that I received myself as well one day. Today we are so focused on our phones and the tablets and the whole world outside every single minute that we don't have even 2 minutes just to focus on our spiritual lives unless we have a purpose. And this fast of Daniel moments that come is so important for us because we have all the opportunity that we could possibly need to put everything down and say, you know what, I'm going to take God a bit more seriously this time, because if I wasn't doing it before on my own, at least now I can't say that God hasn't given me a chance. He hasn't given me an opportunity. My name is Linda Kamgesha and I received the Holy Spirit during the fast of Daniel.